What up, brothers? It's Clipper King returning for a new review to my channel, and when I say new I mean brand new. This is the first review that I've done on a new release item for nearly a year. I have bought it from Hong Kong. I'll put my hands up and say I know I'm going to come across an hypocrite, but I'm going to qualify that decision for you. I know I don't have to, it's my money, I've always said that. But if you remember back when I originally kicked off about Hong Kong sellers scalping us and banging prices right up, if you remember the figures I was referring to were the DX11 Joker, the Avengers version of Thor, and another figure which slips in my mind at the moment. Around that time, the DX11 were going for $450, I saw it on one site, which were £310. Now I said I never minded buying new release stock from Hong Kong if it were going to be £20 too much, £25, £30 too much. I thought that was a fair trade to have the figure soon. But when it got ridiculous and it would double the price, that's when I backed off. Now, a couple of things have happened since. I stuck to buying from the UK sellers. I've bought pretty loyally from UK sellers. I've borrowed a lot of figures. Collectors have started lending me figures, so I've never really bothered about missing out on the early stock. There's been figures that I've seen that I thought, fuck, I really, really want that. But in the back of my mind, I knew Spiderman, regardless, I was getting from Hong Kong. Simply because, as a figure reviewer slash poser, I knew this was going to be a really articulated figure, and I wanted to get in hand fast and just see if it were what I wanted it to be, the step forward from the original Spider-Man we got and the black suit Spider-Man. Could this do what they couldn't? So I always knew I was getting this. I was expecting it as well not to be very expensive because the UK price were massive. And I've got to say, I bought it from Tim Sen, and I did. I've compared it to the lowest price in UK, I think were £135, plus about £10, £12 shipping, so £145. So I've really paid about £20 too much for this. But like I said, I consider that a fair trade-off because this is in hand now, and maybe with UK I won't have it for probably a month, 6 weeks. So that's why I've done it. The price in Hong Kong on the release figures came down, or on certain figures I will say. I always watch them. I always like to keep my knowledge up. Your Iron Men, stuff like that, your Dark Knight stuff, normally still pay front nose for it, but on your sort of MMS figures, they're getting really reasonable. I saw the Scar Predator come out for a good price. This I think were fair enough, and a couple of others. So I have been keeping an eye on Hong Kong as well, and like I say, if you want to call me a hypocrite, call it me. But like I say, I earn my money and I spend it where I want, and I knew I wanted this figure. So that just explains that. Secondly, I'm going to say, anybody who didn't watch the evil version of Superman review that I threw up last night, please go back and check it because they were a really sweet special offer from a good friend of mine, Lee Ward, from The Good, The Bad and The Robots. He did offer a discounted price from his store and free shipping, so please go back and watch that review. But I'm going to roll on to this, and I will say, I hope you do watch it because I'll be reviewing another figure tomorrow which will be relevant to this one, but I'm not going to say what that is yet. So yeah, I'm going to crack on, we'll get this bitch rotating, and we'll start scoring her up. Just give you a good look around the figure. It's a pretty standard pose. I do want to get mental with poses on this. I just hope the new Goblin stand will hold it in the positions I want it to get into. And obviously the box in the background. Right, let's crack on. Right, source material, The Amazing Spider-Man. It was one of the big superhero films of last year, and I will say I watched it in IMAX 3D, which I really enjoyed. I've heard a lot of people sort of criticise the 3D on it, said it didn't really work. I personally thought it did, particularly the end sequence around the time where he's using the cranes to get from one place to another, and that sort of, and the scenes where you're looking at it from like a first person view, you're looking at it from his perspective. I really liked, and I thought it did work well for that. I will also say the downside to the film was the villain. I don't think the villain was strong enough for a reboot of a much loved character. I think when they did the original trilogy with Tobey Maguire, I think the Green Goblin got us going really nice. I think then Dr. Octopus took over and did a good job. And then I do like the villains in the third part, the Venom character and also Sandman. I think it sort of moved up a notch. The jeopardy rose with every part. Also mentioning that, I was glad to see back at Tobey Maguire, which I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but I just think he'd got very, very whiny to a point where he was becoming annoying. and I think they did well to sort of end that trilogy there, move on, get a new Peter Parker in, and start again. They changed up the suit, which again I liked. I did like this sort of, I think in the film it looked sort of like a basketball skin. It had got like a more rubbery feel to it, and I really liked it. And I realised that some of the Ultimate Spider-Mans and the later comics of Spider-Man sort of changed through the ages. I think this is a really modern incarnation of the suit, so to speak, and I really like it. And I realised that in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 they're going pretty much back to the classic design of Spider-Man, which I ain't got a problem with either. So yeah, another good thing I liked about the film was the retelling of the developing and realising his powers. I liked it because I think it was very similar to the first Spider-Man film, which I really liked, but there were just subtle differences. The fact that they give him like a skateboard background, I think that works because it's sort of the sequence where he's on the skateboard park, on the half pipe and everything, and he's realising his powers and everything. I really liked it. I think it was a real modern telling of the Spider-Man story. But like I said, the only thing that ruined it for me were the weak villain. I think if that villain would have been in there with another, like the Green Goblin was sort of pulling the strings, and I think that might have worked better. But like I said, I just think the Lizard, I don't think it was strong enough, and also I think the CGI in it were a little bit comical. It looked a little bit like, I don't know, a bit like a kid's film, which is a fucking stupid thing to say. It's Spider-Man, for fuck's sake. There's no more kiddish than Spider-Man, I suppose. But it just went too young with the animation. They could have made it a little bit scarier. But anyway, I said before I would never give a superhero film a 5 out of 5 because I don't think they're all-time classics. I think they're superseded very fast. I think once the new part comes out, we pretty much forget the original. And that would always be the case for me with superhero films. So I am going to give it a strong 4 out of 5 and just say I did enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to the next part. And yeah, respect to Marvel for giving us the fucking say your words, for giving us these characters. Respect. Moving on to packaging, and I will say straight off, I do really like this. I think the artwork all around is really good and really to my taste. It is a sort of a poster shot or a freeze frame from the film, which I do like because it shows you what the film version's doing, and it also shows you the costume. The only thing I don't understand is why it shows you a battle damage version of the costume. It's sort of got the lizard scratches here and here, but the figure is obviously the clean version. It's not a major nitpick, obviously, and it doesn't take away. I do think it looks really cool because you could display that box, or I would display that box happily, where other boxes you wouldn't even think about it. But I do really think that's a cool shot, kind of poster shot. The webbing section, as you can see, catches the light because it's eye gloss. And then obviously you get your MMS and your Hot Toys. Another noticeable thing about the box, it's a really odd shoebox style. It looks like it's been twisted sort of thing. Show you the side. It's got a shot on that side and also on that side. Again, nicely done. But if you look at the box like that, see what I mean? It's flat there, but it's sort of twisted. So either side sort of it don't fit it flush, so to speak. It's a weird one. It hasn't been twisted, but that's how it is. But yeah, I do like that about it. Taken away, it's got a feel of the old, the first Spider-Man box, and the like the original Wolverine and the Blade figure with the internal poster. And a lot of the Marvel figures do have this, and I really like them. Just gives you another shot. This time it's the figure, not the movie shot. Then obviously the write-up. Pause it if you want to read it. But yeah, I do like that. Then obviously you've got your clamshells inside. It's not massively wide, but it doesn't come with a lot, so it wouldn't need to be. And then a shot on the back where he's sort of in a standing pose, casting his webs. I will say as well, the shot on the back does make his eye lenses look very yellow, which is a contentious point on this figure, and I will cover it when I get to the likeness. Yeah, that's the box. I really do like it. It is basically a shoebox, which I would always score a 3. But I just think, because the artwork is a bit better than standard, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Rolling on to likeness. And I know from the threads that I read and the opinions that I've seen, this is sort of the one of the top discussion points. Is it Andrew Garfield? I've got to say, I like it. There's one thing I don't like it and stops me from giving it a perfect score. I don't mind the fact that it comes scratched. It's very slight battle damage, but it is there. I don't know why they've done that, because I would think if you're going to use the Peter Parker head to do a custom Peter Parker, which I might do, I wouldn't really want it scratched up, but it is, so we have to accept it. But yeah, I can't understand why it's why the fuss. People are saying that it massively changed from the prototypes that we saw, and I suppose they do sometimes look different, but I always put it down to the fact that the prototypes are always took by professional photographers with professional lighting, and then they'll be photoshopped to make them look more realistic. I don't know why we expect what we originally see. I thought we'd all sort of grown up and past that by now, but sometimes it's not the case. The thing on this head sculpt that sort of puts me off giving it to a perfect score is the paint, which is strange because Hot Toys paintwork is really good, and it is really good on this, but I just think it's very, very soft, which in turn makes it look very, very bland. There's nothing really striking about him. His skin tone is all smooth and even and everything, but because there's no, I don't know, there's no strength in the sculpt, there's no, I don't know how to explain it. There's like no 5 o'clock shadow. It's very boyish. It makes him look very young, which I know he is, and I know he's supposed to be. But I don't know. He just doesn't look. There's no appearance of sweat. There's no overshadowing in the eyes or anything like that. It's just a very flat paint job to me. Even the lips. The lips are pretty much same colour as the skin, which might be the case. That might be accurate. Without looking at a picture, I can't really tell you. But I don't know, it just makes it look very flat. But like I said, I do think the sculpt's there, but the paintwork's not strong enough for me. Same with the hair. They could have flashed through the hair with another colour just to lift it a little bit, but they never. So it doesn't stop me liking it, but I just think it could have been a tiny bit better. That's just me, honest opinion. I'd never say it's not him, I can't see him in there, because that's not the point. That's not the case. I can see him in there, but I just wish they'd have strengthened it with a bit of a deeper paint job. The neck, this I'm not sure on, because it looks a little bit giraffe neck, and I expected that to be the case because of the tight-fitting suit. His suit don't like bubble up around him, so it does look a bit giraffe necked. Not massively, I'm not talking Ivan Drago here from the Rocky figures, but I don't know, just sometimes, even when he's got the sort of the masked head on, it does look a bit giraffe neck. You've got to sort of position it to stop that, and I suppose I could have dipped it down like that to stop it, but because of the pose I wanted his head pretty much up. So yeah, I will say as well that the seam where the neck fits is more noticeable than I would like it to be, particularly when you put this head and neck on. And what I will say is, as well, I might as well cover this here on the likeness, the colour matches better than it looks in the picture, because I think they've used the same material sort of on this collar section as they have on the suit, but it's glued in place. If you did want to use this head sculpt as a custom Peter Parker, you would take its head off at the upper part of the neck, and you would just use it on like on a slim true type body, and it would fit onto that neck. What I will say as well is, if you look there, it don't fit as nicely as you would expect, which is confusing, because when you put the Spiderman head on, it does fit really flush, or more flush than that. So it is a little bit confusing. It's as if not each head were made to the body that it were going to fit on, sort of thing. They're pretty much the production line of heads, and then they just chucked it with a body, so that makes it so it doesn't fit the body perfect, sort of thing. But one other thing, this head, obviously, it moves independent of the neck. You can obviously, there's not a lot of articulation. I'll cover that when I get to the articulation section. But it does, there is a neck piece and then an head. That's the point I'm making. Then this is going to be a bitch because it's going to pull it out at pose. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is I will show you pose just in case it does. Pretty much got him, just come down. He's took his mask off as he's dropped, and he just landed. Obviously, I'm using the corner of the building from the original Spider-Man. He was sort of posed better than that bastard. No, but pulled him out. Got him more crouched. Just to demonstrate that the articulation in the leg and the fact not many figures will get to a gargoyle pose. This very nearly will, and it were more so like that. In fact, I'm going to put a short pause in here and get it back to the original pose. That's it. So yeah, really good bend on the knee, and it does dip down the top part of the legs. There's a lot of movement in the top, in the hip sort of thing, and also the articulation there. I'll talk about this when I get to articulation, but it does allow him to get near down into a crawling or gargoyle style pose, which I do like about it, and I expected it would do that because Hot Toys always seem to move on a tiny bit with each figure they release, and the articulation was pretty good on the classic Spider-Man, but it's just got a bit better on this one. So I wanted to demonstrate that in this pose while I didn't have the Spider-Man head on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this head off, which is a bitch because I'm fucking right-handed. Right, as you can see, now the outfit is sort of glued to him or really well fixed in this area, and then it's got these two prongs that pop up that fit into the bottom of that neck. So like I said, that neck won't be any use to you apart from with this figure, but you can pop the head and neck apart and use this head as a custom Peter Parker, which I do intend to do in time. So yes, moving on to the Spider-Man head, it's the same thing again. You've got a separate head and neck, so as you can see there is movement in there, and I do like this. I hope I can fit it on. No, I'll tell you what I'll do. Instead of that, I'll fucking drop it. Ugh, fucking son of a bitch. Why can't I film left-handed and fucking pose right-handed? Get on. Right, so I've got it on anyway. So inside the mask is all one piece, but like I said, there's a separate neck and head in there, so it will move round, and it does work really nice. The lenses on his eyes is another talking point. Some people say they're too yellow. Some people say they should be yellow. Some people say round the edge should be more blue. Some people like that they're black. I personally don't give a shit either way. To me, it looks like Spider-Man, and that's pretty much good enough for me. Like I say, sometimes the neck does look too long, depending where you're filming it from. But even that don't bother me a lot. I do like the fact that it's a lanky-looking Spider-Man, or gawky-looking, whatever, just as long as the articulation's there. So to score the likeness, taking into account both heads, I'm not going to give it the perfect 5. I really like this head, apart from the seam on the top. Don't even know if the camera's picking it up. Seam on the top again, your eyes are drawn to it, but it's not as bad as the cloth Spider-Man. Then the seam down the front of the neck is a little bit noticeable, but again, not as bad as the original Spider-Man. But like I said, I do really like it, but I'm only going to give it a 4 out of 5. Moving on to outfit, and this is a category I like. I've only got one nitpick with it, and it's something that's, I don't know, it's not even that bad. It's just a notice, something I've noticed with it. Again, I've got it posed up, really nice. The outfit doesn't hinder the articulation at all. Yeah, I just think it looks pretty natural. You do, when you pose it, you have to sort of pull the outfit round it to get it to do certain things, or to look aesthetically pleasing, the outfit. Because obviously if you're moving the figure around underneath, you could trap bits or whatever. You could have creases where you don't want them, so you do find yourself finding a pose and then moving the outfit around it. But anyway, I think they've recreated the outfit really nice. It has got a texture to it. If I move down sort of to the leg, it is sort of, I don't know what it feels like, because I thought it'd be something like Black Widow or Catwoman, but it's not. It's something totally different, something I ain't seen before. It's kind of like a lycra with then sort of a sticky webbing on the top. I'm trying to get in really close, you can see. That's on the blue bit, so you do feel sort of the sticky gloss sections of it. And then on the red sections, they've sort of got this, like a pimple, like a basketball feel to it, sort of thing. Like if you had a basketball in 1/6 scale, it'd pretty much feel like this, I think. Again, that's on all the red sections. And then it's got the lines and the sort of texture running through it. The spider on the chest, which is textured, and then moving down. So it does move nicely. I think they have done a good job with the head and neck being as one piece. You do get awkward folds sometimes, depending where you keep the where you position the head. And obviously, in some positions, you can see that it is a separate head and neck underneath. But like I was saying, the Peter Parker neck section don't fit as flush as that does. The Spider-Man head fits really nicely. It's like the Spider-Man head were made to this body, where the Peter Parker's head were just thrown in after. I will also say the sculpt on the gloved hands is really nice. Keeps on with a pimple theme, sort of like a material. And yeah, they've not just sort of redone old hands sort of thing. They are completely new sculpts, and they are painted really well, nice and crisp. The boots I do really like. I'll just turn it on. There is articulation through the ankle, and it doesn't make the material sort of ruck up like the other Spider-Man did. You see, it's got like it looks like the bottom of a football boot actually. It's got like a design where I don't know if these are sucker pads or whatever they're supposed to be, but it does look movie accurate, and I think they've done the boots really well. So yeah, then if I bring this side round, see, pretty nice. Nice outfit altogether. The silver highlights on the back of the boot, as you can see. So a quick glance around the back, again, very just all similar materials I've explained, but then with the red spider up his back, which again looks very nice. So yeah, I do, like I said, I do like the modernisation of the suit. It is to my taste. I suppose you would class the lenses as his outfit as well. Like I said, some people have a problem with the yellow lens. To me, it don't really matter. And I'll be honest, under the lights, and obviously his head's looking down away from the light, it doesn't look that yellow. But when the light from the camera hits it and shines into the eye, it does give off a yellow look. So if that is a problem, then I would say don't buy the figure, but to me, it's not. I sort of touched on it, that there's a seam down here. There is, but again, it's an improvement on the original Spider-Man, and same with the crease underneath the neck. They have got to do that because they've got to get an head inside that mask somehow, so you're always going to get it. The nitpick that I alluded to, just a little thing. Even when he's stood upright and his suit's in its most natural position, this sleeve always sort of bounces up away from the hand, so you can always see the wrist peg on that side. More so that side, but like you get it there as well. It's like I say, it's very, very minor and very, very nitpickish. Like I said, yeah, it's not a bad thing. Also, I find that the webcaster, because in this film he makes the webcasters, the webs don't come from his wrist, but you can see the webcaster there. It is stuck to the suit. I hope it don't break in time, but it never seems to be in the right place. It always seems to be on the underside of his arm. They should have possibly tried to stick it over this seam here, and it might have been in the right place, but it just seems to be in the wrong place all the time for me, because for it to be in the right place, that hand would have to be like that. I hope you get what I mean. So it always seems to be in the wrong place, but like I said, very nitpickish. I've not given it a perfect 5 out of 5 for a reason. The reason being, where the fuck's that thing? Let me show you. I'm moving away and I'm being unprofessional. The reason I haven't is because nearly everything you read about this is in above the box. It's telling you don't lift his arms more than that. You can damage suit. Careful how you put head on, you can damage suit. Careful with this, you can damage suit. Careful with this, you can damage suit. Don't pull suit too much. Don't try and pull his boots off. Careful when you pose it, because you'll damage suit. I think if they know you can damage suit, why release the bastard? Why not make it so you can't damage suit? It's not like these fucking figures are 10 a penny. So if they know you're going to damage suit, or they're warning you they're going to damage suit, why release it? Why make the suit more durable? So that is the only reason I'm going to knock it down. If they're pretty much telling you, expect to damage your suit, then somewhere down the line, we probably are going to be fucking damaging the suits. So that is why I've given it a 4 out of 5.